Welcome to this AQA GCSE Sociology revision blast. Today we are focusing on consensus theories, which you will see across both of your papers. Before we get started, let's just remind ourselves what we mean by a consensus theory. These are in contrast to conflict theories that we have covered in a separate revision blast. Consensus theories are those that see people in society as having shared interests in society functioning on the basis of there being a broad consensus on its norms and values. So essentially, everybody agrees. This is most associated with functionalism. So we're going to start off this revision blast with a 60-second challenge. You will have 60 seconds to match the key phrases to their definition. You need to match the letters on the left with the numbers on the right. So it might be worth having a pen and piece of paper by your side. Off you go. So hopefully you managed to match our key terms with their definitions. Let's have a look at the answers. So we'll start off at the top with A5, role allocation. Unequal rewards mean that people will get the job that matches their ability and the effort they are prepared to make. B7 is collective sentiment, the ideas that we all share about what is right or wrong in society. C3 is stream theory, the idea that pressure to succeed makes people turn to crime. D2 is anime, where there are no longer any norms guiding behaviour. E1 is social cohesion, a sense of unity with others and strong bonds between members of society. F4 is achieved status, status that has been earned and not born into. And G6 is meritocracy, where everyone has an equal opportunity to succeed. Okay, we're going to move on to a give me 3 activity now. You have 30 seconds on the clock this time. You need to give me 3 positive functions of schools. Off we go. So time's up. Let's see what you came up with. Hopefully you've managed to come up with 3 positive functions of schools. So we have secondary socialisation, passing on and reinforcing the norms and values. And this is particularly important if primary socialisation has left gaps in young people. And promotes a sense of belonging. A school is a society in miniature. So that's a statement that is linked to Emil Durkheim. And it prepares children for the world of work. Well done if you got those 3, and if you got others, then obviously well done too. We're going to have another 30 seconds on the clock this time, and we're looking for 3 ways that school prepares you for adult life and work. Off we go. So your time is up. Let's have a look at what you could have said. So 3 ways that school prepares you for adult life and work. We have developing organisational and time management skills. We have our communication skills, so written and verbal, and we have problem solving and working with others. So these are all really positive, whereas before we think about the time management skills. In our previous revision blast on consensus theories, we talked about that as being part of Bowes and Ginter's correspondence theory, and it was seen a bit more negative, the idea of your time being controlled by somebody else. Right, we're going to do another one. So this time we are looking for 3 ways that school teaches you to achieve status. Let's go. So hopefully, again, you've managed to come up with 3 ways that schools teach you to achieve status. Let's have a look at what you could have written down. So we've got making students earn their position, so trying out for teams, auditioning for plays, etc. Reinforcing the importance of social skills, so for example, focusing on manners, and judging students on how hard they work and how well they achieve. So these will all help you achieve status, which is really important as part of a consensus theory idea, the idea of achieving status, so gaining your respect by the hard work you put in rather than just having it ascribed to you at birth. We have one more Give Me 3 activity. And our last one, we're looking at criticisms of the functionalist view of education. So the functionalist view of education is that it serves a good purpose in society. So we've talked about the idea of school being society in miniature from Durkheim, but there are lots of criticisms of the functionalist view of education. So can you give me 3? Okay, hopefully you have come up with 3 criticisms of the functionalist view of education. So let's have a look at some of these ideas. So many people argue that the education system is not meritocratic, so not everybody has the same opportunities. And this is certainly an argument that is used when we're talking about state schools compared to independent schools, but also in terms of labelling theory and putting students into bottom sets limits their ability to achieve higher results. Postmodernists argue that teaching to the test kills creativity, and there's certainly been an increase in that over the last decade in schools where there is much more content to get through, so teachers are under increasing pressure to get you through those exams and perhaps not being able to be quite as creative as we could have been in the past. And people do argue that it ignores the negative side of school. So for example, bullying is a real issue for many students. Well done if you got those. We're now going to move on to a round of true or false. We have 5 statements that we're going to show you. Again, these are all linked to the consensus view of society. You've just got to decide whether they are true or false. We'll keep each one up on the screen for a few moments, and then obviously you can have a think about whether you believe these are true or whether they are false. So our first one is already on the screen. Functionalists believe that poverty has a comforting effect on those that are not poor. Do we think that is true or false? Just leave it up for a moment. Let's reveal the answer. It is true. So the idea there that if you're not living in poverty and you see other people, obviously we don't like that generally in society, but it does remind you of the importance of working hard and studying, etc. True or false? Number 2. Functionalists believe that society should have minimal inequality. Is this true or false? Give you another moment. Functionalists believe that society should have minimal inequality. Let's reveal the answer. It is false. So they believe there is a need for inequality. So again, links to the last statement, functionists believe it acts as a motivational tool for people to work hard. So there needs to be some sort of inequality, otherwise people are all going to opt for the easiest jobs. Society will then fail to function properly. Functionists suggest that life chances are a result of an individual's talent and ability. Is this true or false? Leave that up for a moment. So functionists suggest that life chances are a result of an individual's talent and ability. True or false? Let's reveal. Yeah, it is true. So it's the idea of meritocracy there. And obviously this is completely disagreed by Marxists. Functionists suggest that people respond to incentives and disincentives. Is this true or false? The idea of positive rewards or sanctions. Functionists suggest that people respond to incentives and disincentives. Let's reveal. Okay, they believe this is false. And number 5, functionists believe that government reflects the viewpoint of the masses. Is this true or false? Let's reveal. They believe it is true, although obviously over the last decade again we have a huge number of society that are very angry with the government, so perhaps this viewpoint is slightly out of date. Right, let's move on. We now have a bubble quiz. So this time I'm going to show you a number of questions. Each time the number of answers that are correct can range from 0 to all 4. So you just need to identify the correct answer. So you might want a pen and paper with you and you can note down the letters that you think are correct. Okay, number 1. Which of the following are functions of the family according to Parsons? Reproductive function, stabilisation of adult personalities, welfare dependency, primary socialisation. So A, B, C, D. So the number that can be correct can range from 0 to all 4. Just going to leave that up for a moment. Let's reveal the answer. It's stabilisation of adult personalities and primary socialisation. So hopefully we are aware of the warm bath theory. That kind of links there with the stabilisation of adult personality. So this is Talcott Parsons, a functionalist. Number 2. Which of the following are types of family structure? Serial packet family, nuclear, lone parent family, and single parent family. Just going to leave that up on the screen for a moment. So remember, we can have 0 correct right up to 4. Let's reveal the answer. Okay, it's nuclear, lone parent, and single parent family. So lone parent and single parent family are actually the same. Nuclear family is that sort of traditional idea of mum, dad, and their offspring. Serial packet family is a advertising term used in previous decades to show what at the time was seen as the most traditional family. It was normally the nuclear family. Okay, the nuclear family and the serial packet family is linked to the consensus theory, so something that's promoted by functionalists. Number 3. Which of the following are functions of the family according to functionalists? To teach norms and values, to legitimise patriarchal norms, to display diversity by moving away from the nuclear family form, and to help achieve a value consensus in society. What do we think? So again, we'll leave this one up for a few moments. Let's reveal the answer. It is to teach norms and values and to help achieve a value consensus in society, which you do through teaching the norms and values. To legitimise patriarchal norms would be an argument about the family, according to feminists. Right, number 4. Which of these are criticisms of the functionalist view of the family? It is too radical and suggests that revolution is the way forward. It focuses completely on patriarchal oppression. It ignores a dark side of the family. It does not consider socialisation and the impact on value consensus. So which ones of those are criticisms of the functionalist viewpoint of the family? Again, can be 0 right up to number 4. Right, let's have a look. It is C, so it ignores the dark side of the family. So there was lots of talk about how the functionalist view of the family is very positive. So it talks about particularly the idea of socialisation, that primary socialisation. It talks about the economic support that family gives you, the idea of reproductive values, lots of things there. But it does ignore the dark side of the family. So dysfunctional families, domestic violence, all sorts that are kind of glossed over by the functionalist view. Right, we're going to move on to an on-balance activity, and we have a statement on the screen which is crime is a result of inadequate socialisation, and this is something that is claimed by the new right. And the new right are consensus theorists, so people like Charles Murray, for example. We are going to have a look at this statement on the screen. The crime is a result of inadequate socialisation. What we need to do is we need to come up with some arguments for and against this. So if we're thinking about agreeing, we're thinking about what the new right would argue. So what points would they make when they're trying to get their view across that they do believe that crime is a result of inadequate socialisation. What we need to do at this point is just pause the video very quickly. Just gives you a chance to write a couple of things down, arguments that agree with this statement. When you are ready, then unpause the video and we will have a look at what you have come up with. Okay, if you haven't already done so, please pause the video because we are about to reveal some answers. Let's have a look at what you could have written. We have here two different examples of studies that look at crime being a result of inadequate socialisation. So we've got Charles Murray, who talked about having an underclass of idle young men, and he blamed this on the breakdown of the nuclear family. So lots of boys in particular being brought up without a father figure, without that role model, and therefore not behaving appropriately, getting involved in antisocial behaviour, which often leads on to crime. We've also got Walter Miller and his focal concern study. So he suggested that working class boys were socialised into a number of distinct values that together meant they were more likely than others to engage in delinquent or deviant behaviour. And he called these values focal concern. So, for example, excitement was one of them. He said they seek out excitement, particularly when they're not at work. Toughness, they want to prove that they're tough or they're hard. Smartness, they'll be using their wit, which might include smart remarks that get them into trouble at school. That links nicely to trouble. So they, again, links to excitement and toughness. They might well find themselves in trouble. Another one was autonomy. They wish to be independent and not reliant on others. And the last one was fate. So they believe that their future is already decided. What they do won't influence it. So this is both an argument for why crime is a result of inadequate socialisation. What I want you to do now is pause the video again, and I want you to come up with a couple of arguments that disagree. So crime is not a result of inadequate socialisation. What could you do for that? So pause the video now. Give yourself a few moments. If you haven't already done so, pause the video because we're about to reveal a couple of suggested answers here. Let's have a look. So we have got two different ones here. We've got the strain theory by Robert Merton. So he talked about how crime was a result of everybody striving for these socially accepted goals. So it came from his thoughts on the American dream, so the idea that everybody's striving towards a big house, a nice car, a really good quality of life, the American dream. But lots of people can't achieve that through legitimate means. So this puts a strain on society. And his study looked at 5 different ways that people respond to strain, and one of them was innovation, where people have the same goals but they'll turn into sort of different ways to get them rather than just working hard. So for example, crime. Then we've got Albert Cohen's status frustration. The idea here is that working class boys in particular find it really difficult to achieve the status that they desire through legitimate means. So they know that they're perhaps not going to do that well at school, so instead they turn to antisocial behaviour where they will get a different type of status and they feel that they then are important members of society. We're going to end this revision blast with a quick round of multiple choice questions. We have 5. So our first one is, which of the following sociologists is not a functionalist? Is it A, George P. Murdoch, B, M.R. Durkheim, C, Talcott Parsons, D, Anne Oakley? Hopefully a nice easy one. Let's give you a moment to have a look at them again before we reveal the answer. So the answer is, it is of course Anne Oakley. Number 2, which of the following is not a functionalist concept? A, value consensus, B, unit of consumption, C, nuclear family, D, social cohesion. Which of these is not a functionalist concept? Let's reveal the answer. It is unit of consumption, so this is an idea linked to capitalism. Number 3. Which functionalist coined the term anomie? Is it A, Durkheim, B, Parsons, C, Murdoch, D, Cohen? Just leave that up on the screen for a moment. Let's reveal the answer. It is Durkheim, so the idea of no rules for a fixed period of time. Number 4. Functionalism is, so we've got quite a lot to read on this one. Is it A, the belief that society would be harmonious if it wasn't plagued by welfare dependency and a decline of moral values? Is it B, the belief that society oppresses the poor in order to benefit the rich? C, is it the belief that people should all be paid equally and given equal amounts of wealth? Or is it D, the belief that society is a system of parts which work together to promote solidarity and stability? Hopefully that's quite an easy one, although obviously there's quite a lot of text for you to read there. So which one of those describes functionalism? So the answer is D, the belief that society is a system of parts which work together to promote solidarity and stability. So we have a look at the others. A is linked to the New Right, B is linked to Marxism, and C is linked to the idea of communism. Right, our last question. Which of the following is not a functionalist theory? The warm bath theory for A, B, strain theory, C, charismatic authority, D, the organic analogy. Well done if you have spotted the spelling mistake D there. Obviously it's not how we normally would spell analogy. Okay, let's have a look. It is charismatic authority. So that's an idea linked to Weber about the different types of authority that people can have. So warm bath theory, Parsons strain theory is linked to Merton, and the organic analogy is linked to Durkheim. So we've managed to cover quite a lot of content with these little recall activities in this revision blast. We hopefully have reinforced your understanding of consensus theories that will appear in both your papers, and they come in all 4 topics. So all we're left to say now is please remember to have a look at the revision blast playlist, because we are covering all of the different topics that you will study across both papers, and good luck.